Today's video is about how I start a new series of crow paintings. Hey everybody, welcome back, and in case you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today's video is about how I start a series of crow paintings which I'm gonna need in May. I'm gonna do more than crows for this solo show I have in May, but I did start with the crow paintings just because I can. No specific reason, I just felt like it's time for crows. Some of you may remember that in, I think 23, I did 100-day crow paintings, so that's how I got started with crows. And today's video is specific about this type of crow. And I do start with making a series of sketches on this craft colored pad. I have a whole pad of these papers, and I use like charcoal to begin with, sometimes pencil, sometimes not. I also use pastel with it. That's purely charcoal, again combined with pastel. But I also did try out with watercolors and with Sumi inks. Some of them I like, some like this one I don't like at all. That's the thing, you don't get it always right on the first go. So that's how that's why I use this pieces, and I make a picture. I may take a photo with my phone, and then I do resize it sometimes. Sometimes I do enlarge it, depending on what kind of canvas I use. And yeah, now I did use this copy to transfer it on the background I have already started. I'm not showing everything in this time lapse because it's going to be an awful long video, but I also going to show you how I finish my paintings and how I mount those hanging thingies which we need for the gallery. And yeah, that's what it is about this video. I hope you enjoy, and I hope to see you soon again. Take care. Bye. Okay, let's dive into that painting. It did start with some hot neon fluorescent pink, whatever you want to call it. Some call it opera pink. And I did work on a 20 by 20 centimeters, roughly 8 by 8 inch. It was a pre-gessoed deep canvas, about 4 centimeters or 1.5 inch. And now I'm adding my collage pieces. Here is a little piece of a map. I'm using gel matte to glue it down. And I also make sure that I go over to the edges on my deep canvas. I like to have something going on the sides of the canvas as well. Next, I'm looking for a piece from my handmade papers, which I made like 3-4 years ago. It did use leftover papers and did add a little bit of lace, so I have like a dimensional handmade paper. I'm also using my jelly prints. Some are on plain computer paper, some are on deli paper, some are on tissue papers. This one is on a tissue paper. And just again add them also over the edges. Now it's time for more background work. Here I'm using some brilliant blue from Amsterdam. I use mostly Amsterdam paints. You also see some sky blue, light blue up there. And as I don't want to obscure all my papers, my collage papers, I also use a little bit of matte medium to thin out the paint. You could use glazing medium instead. I do switch up. Sometimes I use glazing medium, sometimes I use matte medium, just because it is closer to my table than the glazing medium or something like that. Anyway, I'm playing around with more colors here. I also did add some ochre just to make an interesting background. I did semi-dry the paint so that I still could scratch with the end of my brush into the paint so that I'd get a little bit of pink showing through. Also, there was a little bit too much at the end. Now, I didn't show how I transfer, how I copy my crow to the canvas. It is just simple using, as I said, the photo. On the back side of the print in the right size, I did smear some charcoal along the lines I needed. And you could use instead also some of those transfer papers. I just find it really easy, and I have charcoal already at hand, so I use the charcoal method. Then I started with some black, but I also did add from Le Franc Bourgeois Paris violet pale. Just, I did like the color when I did see it on the shelf in the art store. So you probably could just add some purple or violet and add some white to it. Yeah, sometimes I just buy colors because I like them, looking at them. So I also did add, I don't know whether you have seen it, but I also did use again a little bit of hot pink. Now, I did speed up this video 4 times, but I also did edit out quite a bit so that it doesn't take too long here on YouTube. I did edit out like drying times. When I was looking for stuff, I suddenly had the idea I needed specifically for these paintings. That's what always happens. You plan your video and think you're going to prepare all the supplies, but then, nah, I need something else. Now, I did use to outline the crow after I have transferred it oil-based charcoal. I used the Nero from Cretacolor. There are other brands out. And I also go in again when I have painted over it sometimes. I just like the look of these oil-based charcoal lines in my paintings. Do you have to do them? No, but I like them, so that's why I do it. Sometimes you have those little oops where you go over the lines. Well, not a big deal with acrylic paints. Just go back to your background colors and nobody sees it, nobody knows it if you don't tell it. So please don't tell everybody. Just kidding. Now back to some more collage papers. Again, my own collage papers. I did cut out some spirals. I like spirals, so that's what I wanted to use. And I'm just doing freehanding them. They are not regular, they are not perfect, but it's just the way I like it. When I paint crows, I don't aim to portray one specific bird. I'm not studying a single species from the corvid family. Instead, I mix and match what I notice. A shape here, a beak there, a memory of a bird I once saw. Some corvids, like the alpine chough, have lighter or yellowish beaks. Others show that pale gray tone at the base of the beak, and many are simply dark, almost shadow-like. The result is not a specific species, but a crow that carries many stories. Lately, someone asked me why I paint crows. Well, I paint crows because I like them. They are clever, curious, and deeply social. They use tools like small sticks, clever tricks. They drop walnuts on paved streets, waiting patiently for them to break open. But it's not only their intelligence, it's their presence. The way their feathers sometimes shimmer almost metallic, when the light touches them just right. But now back what's going on the screen. As you have seen, I did cut out several spirals in different types of papers. I also did use some metallic papers, which is again a jelly print of mine, which I did with metallic foils. And again, I'm using a gel matte medium. To mimic that metallic shimmer, that iridescent that they have in their feathers, I'm adding again more colors to the black. Now I'm working on my table with the camera hanging over it so that you can see it clearly, but from time to time I have to pick it up and look at it from a different angle. There is always a little bit of a glare with the fresh acrylic paint. So picking it up and looking at a different angle on my painting, just like when I would stay in front of it, makes it so much easier. Did you notice that I did vary the lengths of the strokes? More shorter strokes for the head and along the neck, and the longer strokes down going to the body. You probably have noticed by now, I do work in a lot of layers, different colors, different strokes, but I always try to be in the direction of what a feather or let's say a fur or hair goes actually. I really believe the more layers you have, the more depth you get in your work. Now for smaller details, I sometimes like to work with those acrylic markers. I use mostly Posca pens, they are very reliable. I had the feeling I need more spirals, so out comes one of my stencils, which is by the way available in my shop, and a cosmetic sponge to add more spirals. I still wasn't happy with the coverage of the paint on my beak. There was still too much canvas showing through, so I went over again with the paint. I wanted even more spirals. This time they are from a tissue paper I have stenciled a while ago. I know you didn't see it, but I did wet it first a little bit with water from the backside, which makes it a little bit more translucent. And I just realized I haven't looked too much on the sides yet, so some more spirals for the sides also. Now, every time when I pull out my Sennelier Artist Oil Pastels or my Neo Pastels by Caran, it means I'm getting closer to the end of a specific painting. Now, with the Sennelier Oil Pastels, I have mostly metallic, which seems to be the right choice for this crow. But for the Neo Pastels from Caran, I do have more colors, so I mix and match them. What I like about both of these brands, they are very soft and you can smear them around very easily, and that's actually what I do. From time to time you have to clean your fingers because I try not to mix the colors, so I use for each color another finger. And that is usually really my last step. I go around again with my Nero Soft. Actually, it is Nero Extra Soft. That's my preferred one from Cretacolor, to go around all the perimeters of the bird and adding a little bit more details, a little bit more scribbly lines, just the way I like it. My next step, which is preparing it for the gallery, I let it dry at least overnight. Sometimes I just leave it somewhere on a table for like 2 or 3 days, just to make sure that all the paints, all the mediums are really dry. Next step is adding my D-rings and the wire. And I try to do that before I do the varnishing so that I can work on, but sometimes I forget it and then I have to let it dry another day. But this time I really did think about it, do this first and then do the varnishing so you can do it all in one go. I like to have my things done and then work on going on to another project. I do use one of those plastic covered specific for paintings wires, which are very flexible and easy to knot. This might be a little bit unconventional, but I seal my paintings with a water-based acrylic sealer. I'm very sensitive to strong smells, and so far I haven't found an odor-free varnish in art store that works for me. And because my paintings are mixed media, acrylics, oil pastels, charcoal, pencil, sealing is important. This is a simple solution that feels right for my process. I hope you enjoyed spending a bit time in my studio with me. If you have questions or thoughts, leave them in the comments. I love reading them. And if this video was helpful or inspiring, please consider liking or sharing. It truly supports my work. See you another time.